Hey everyone, this is Mikedot here for OnRPG.com, and welcome to another episode of OnRPG's Kicktracker Report, a monthly web series focused on Kickstarter gaming projects that you should know about. For everyone that's new to this show, each month I go over a handful of new and ongoing Kickstarter gaming projects, take a quick look back at campaigns from previous episodes, and I give my thoughts on what makes some of these Kickstarter projects so special. For the month of April 2016, Chronicles of Elyria by Soulbound Studios is hosting its first Kickstarter campaign next month. For those that don't already know, Chronicles of Elyria is a sandbox MMORPG where every aspect of the game world is constantly changing, from the questing to the in-game economy, and even your own character as they actually grow and age throughout the game. Along with skill-based combat and lack of a class system, and tons of adventuring opportunities, Chronicles of Elyria plans to be the most dynamic MMORPG to date. The owner of Soulbound Studios recently mentioned in an open letter to the community that their Kickstarter campaign will be setting their funding goal at around $900,000. While that funding goal is very high, the development on the game has advanced far enough to ensure that fans and potential backers that there's more than enough gameplay footage and assets to earn support. With plenty of confidence and support behind them, this campaign begins on May 3rd, 2016. One Tower by Skyreacher was successfully funded on April 10th with over $27,000 earned from over 200 backers. Along with the successful campaign, the game was also recently approved on Steam's Greenlight service. At the time of this recording, the team at Skyreacher is currently working on fulfilling backer rewards and preparing for the game's alpha test in May, early access in June, and closed beta in July. Dragon of Legends by Thrive Games was also successfully funded with over 20,000 Canadian dollars earned from over 700 backers. Currently, no other details on the game's development has been released to the public, but during the campaign, plenty of new gameplay footage was shown off, as well as an announcement for the game's approval on Steam Greenlight. Failure, the cyberpunk-themed RTS by Dream Harvest Games, was unfortunately cancelled on March 22nd, only achieving up to £5,000 from 125 backers. Due to the failed campaign, the team at Dream Harvest Games has announced that they will continue working on the game, but at a much slower pace with less developers and staff on board. They will also continue to release updates on the game's development, and users can continue to follow the game on their official homepage and various social media pages. For some of our new and ongoing Kickstarter campaigns, first we have The Wild 8, a plot-driven co-op survival game created by 8 Points. In this game, players will explore a mysterious, snow-covered world with up to 8 different survivors, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Like in many other modern survival games, players will have to scavenge, hunt, and craft in order to survive. But the development team behind The Wild 8 promises to include harsh and unforgiving situations where every action, even the littlest of choices, can have dire consequences in the long run. Along with a unique visual style and haunting music, The Wild 8 could provide an experience unlike any other survival game that we've played in recent years. Now, I really do like what I'm seeing when it comes to the game's visual style, since it's very simplistic but still detailed enough to be seen as artistic and recognizable. And I also do like the story-driven approach, which not too many survival games tend to go for. Since it's solely focused on 8 players in a single game, the survival aspect seems a lot more personal when compared to games like Rust or H1Z1 or Ark. And while those games give players plenty of opportunity to work together, those games still feel like a free-for-all most of the time, because those games are generally set on an open server with a handful of other potential players, and that tends to open itself up for a lot of griefing, which isn't really fun for some people. Still, I could be wrong about the whole griefing potential that The Wild 8 has, as the game does encourage players to turn on one another. But at least here, it'll be interesting to see how actions like turning on your fellow survivors could change the outcome of the game's story. Anyway, at the time of this video, this game has achieved about half of its base funding goal and needs about another $25,000 in order to get funded. This campaign ends on May 13th, 2016. Next up, we have Blast Brawl 2 Bloody Boogaloo, created by Mind's Eye Games. The basic idea behind Blast Brawl 2 is that it's a fast-paced action game where you die in only one hit. While that may sound a bit iffy at first, the game gives players plenty of ways to attack, defend, and dodge opponents to go along with the fast pacing, creating a game that rewards player skill, quick thinking, and creativity. This game also plans to include up to 7 different characters to choose from, including a ninja, sniper, pirate, Viking, and more. With plans to include a full-on story mode along with co-op and competitive modes for up to 8 players or more locally, Blast Brawl 2 sounds like the perfect party game for people who are fans of titles like Starfall or Lethal League. In order to drum up support for the Kickstarter campaign, the creator of the game has released an alpha demo officially on their website, which is available for both PC and Mac users. I got around to playing the demo for about an hour or so, and I gotta say, for an alpha demo, it's incredibly fun to play. It comes with a simple tutorial that teaches players how to handle each of the playable characters available as well, and it didn't take me very long to get a good feel for the controls. That being said, however, mastering the game on the other hand was a completely different story. I sadly didn't have any friends around to try the game out with me, but I did get to play through the survival mode with every character available, and this is definitely a game that's easy to pick up and play, very difficult to master, and a whole lot of fun because it's fast, chaotic, and very addictive. After a few rounds in the survival mode, I started getting into that just one more round kind of vibe. And that's when I knew this game is one that I need to keep my eye out on it for the future. Not only that, but what really seals this game for me even more so is that they plan to include a ton of 80s inspired songs from over 40 different indie artists. And it's not just 1 or 2 songs from each artist either. They're including entire albums worth of music. And with the final game, they plan to include well over 10 hours of music. That's insane. Now, how the creator managed to get a hold of all these indie artists is kind of mind-blowing to me, but I'm really glad that he did because I think it really helps make the game more appealing, and it also helps these indie artists become more publicly known. So I think it's a win-win for everyone involved. At the time of this recording, however, this game has only earned 10% of its funding, and this campaign needs about a ton of support to reach its $30,000 goal. This campaign ends on May 6, 2016. Last up, we have Wrack Starfall, a tower defense FPS title by Final Boss Entertainment. As a successor to the original Wrack, a Twitch-based shooter in the vein of titles such as Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament, Wrack Starfall takes the same elements that made the original a success while becoming the world's first tower defense game with roguelike elements. So while players will have to create mazes and traps in order to defend their grand beacon from incoming enemies, they'll also have to deal with elements such as randomized environments, enemy waves, item spawns, and more, which will keep the game fresh every time you play. Along with different characters that you can choose from, weapons to unlock and upgrade, and 5 different worlds to play in, Wrack Starfall takes a more in-your-face approach to tower defense games. Now, while I haven't played the original Wrack, the game's visuals are very appealing to me because it looks similar to Borderlands, but it also reminds me of a game called 13 made by Ubisoft, mixed in with a game called Nexius Classic, and those are games that I kind of hold dear to my heart because I used to play them a lot when I was younger. Now, with that aside, I have to wonder how much of the Twitch shooter aspect will be worked into Starfall, because when I think of tower defense games, I usually think of them as slow and strategic games, and while that's certainly not a bad thing, the idea of mixing Twitch-based shooting with tower defense, it kind of sounds like 2 tastes that don't really mix together. But still, it's a very cool idea and one that I really want to see attempted because the team at Final Boss Entertainment gained a lot of experience from creating Wrack, and I think they have the experience to make a very good and unique game. Now, at the time of this recording, this campaign has only 10% of its funding reached, and it needs about $23,000 in order to reach its base funding goal. This campaign ends on April 28, 2016. And that's all the time I have for this recap. And if you'd like to learn more about the games featured in this video, just check out the links in the description below. But as always, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for next month's recap. This is Mikedot saying over and out.